All right. Well, week one of the NFL is over with. It's almost time for week two. So let's just get into these predictions. On Thursday night football, we've got the Washington Commanders and the Green Bay Packers. Man, the Packers looked real nice on Sunday. They looked really good. As for Washington, they started slow, but I think New York has a better defense than, you know, people let on. But I do think it is actually a good defense. There's a new group there, new offensive line, new running backs. That group is very different on the offensive side of things, so it's not surprising to see them start slow. However, if they want to beat the Packers, they're going to have to be on their A game, because if the Packers are like anything we saw on Sunday, they have a good chance to be a real Super Bowl contender. And of course, the Packers are playing at home, which of course does give them a slight advantage. But man, they were smothering the Lions all day. So I think I will go with the Packers here in this game, but I very well could see Washington getting a running game going. It's just, a question of who is the number one guy. Is it Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt? Is it Eckler? Is it a mix of both? I have no idea. But I think if they can establish a running game, I think they have a good chance. Moving on to the Sunday slate of games. We've got the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Cincinnati Bungles, as I always call them, because that's what they are. The Jaguars, I don't know if they looked good on Sunday due to them being really good, or if it was just the Panthers are that bad. I think I'm going to go with the latter, though. Because Trevor Lawrence didn't really look like the superstar we all think he can be. He didn't really play like that. Travis Hunter, of course, he got a few reps. He was mainly playing the wide receiver position, as was anticipated. Cincinnati barely escaped with a win, and make no mistake about it, they escaped with that win against Cleveland. There were many times when they should have lost, and Cleveland just simply refused to take it. But here we are. Both teams are sitting at 1-0. This game is being played in Cincinnati. I like Cincinnati here in this one. I think, this is a Jacksonville defense where you can get things going, although I do think Jacksonville does have a good pass rush. Their secondary does scare me a little bit. So I am going to go with Cincinnati here in this one. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a high-scoring game, but, I also wouldn't be because it's early in the season. Offenses tend to take time to get things together. But I am going to go with Cincinnati here in this game. Moving on, we have the New York Giants versus the Dallas Cowboys. Where do I begin with the Giants? I guess I'll start with the quarterback position. Russell Wilson looked awful. He looked awful on Sunday. And there's no sugarcoating it. I mean, he looked so bad that fans are already clamoring for Jackson Dart. I don't think that'll happen right now. I think give it at least a month. But he did not look good. Make no mistake about it. And the defense, as I said, they looked, fine. They looked fine. Dallas, I think they looked better than everyone anticipated. I think everyone after that Micah Parsons trade was like, oh, they're going to get smacked by the Eagles. But then they actually put up a good fight, and they had opportunities to win that game. So I am going to go with the Cowboys here in this one. I just think they're a better overall roster. I think they just have a better roster. They have more talent to them. I have to go with Dallas in this one. I'm sorry, Giants. Next, we've got the Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions. Maybe a revenge game for Ben Johnson. I don't know how he wants to look at it. But regardless, he is returning to Detroit. I have thoughts about the Bears. As you know, I had the Bears not making the playoffs. I had them improving. I had them improving. I think I had them at 7-10, something like that this season. But after seeing that game, a game that they probably should have won, I don't know what to think of the Vikings. I don't know what to think of the Bears right now. Because if you can't win that game, what games can you win? I don't know. I don't know, man. The Bears are such a weird team. But as for Detroit, they got slammed by the Packers. I mean, that game was not even close. The box score makes it seem a lot closer than it actually was. That game was not close. So I am going to go with Detroit in this one. But I'm going with Detroit not because, I think Chicago is necessarily bad or that Detroit is necessarily good. I simply trust their coaching right now more than Chicago because keep in mind, Ben Johnson has only coached one National Football League game. So it's really impossible to tell how good this guy is or can be. It's impossible to tell. And I also just think Detroit has a better overall roster, and I think they have a chance to get the running game going. Moving on, we've got the LA Rams versus the Tennessee Titans. I'm going to leave this one short and sweet. I'm going with the Rams. Simply because Brian Callahan, he's an idiot. He's an idiot. I mean, came out after, he said in his press conference after that Broncos game last week that he basically doesn't know the rules. What? How do you not know the rules of this I can't with him. Anyways, yeah, I'm going with the Rams. They're a better coach team. They're a better roster. They're just a better team all around. Moving on, we've got a game that is interesting to say the least. We've got the New England Patriots versus the Miami Dolphins. Where do I begin? First and foremost, the Patriots. Drake May didn't look that great. I'm going to be honest. He didn't look that great. But, hey, it's only week 1. Still plenty of time for things to improve throughout the season. But you know who looked worse than Drake May? The entire Miami Dolphins. The entirety of that team looked absolutely abysmal against the Indianapolis Colts. I don't even know where to begin with them. Okay, first and foremost, Daniel Jones, he looked like a superstar on Sunday. And I don't know if I can attribute that to him actually being revived and him being the Sam Darnold of this year, or if the Miami Dolphins are that bad. But I cannot in good faith pick the Dolphins after seeing what I saw last week. I am going with the Patriots in this game. Even though it is being played in Miami, the Patriots historically have not done well there. I'm going to have to go with... I have to go with the Patriots, because I cannot in good faith pick the Dolphins after seeing what I saw last week. Moving on, we've got the San Francisco 49ers versus the New Orleans Saints. I think the 49ers are going to win this game. And look, the Saints, you guys kept it close. However, you never had a lead in that game. And the Cardinals, even though, yes, you were close in that game, it never really felt like the Cardinals were ever in any sort of danger. And that's a problem. As for the Niners, they did win last week behind, some really good defense. And I think that Robert Saleh defense is very good. And as a result, I am going to pick the 49ers in this game. However, I will say for the Saints, I think genuinely, you guys can be better than most anticipate this year if one of those quarterbacks that you have can pan out and be average. I genuinely think that. Moving on, we've got the Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets. Where do I begin? First and foremost, that game on Sunday night between the Ravens and the Bills was absolutely bonkers. I made a short little recap of it. That game was bonkers. The Bills ended up winning. I don't know how it happened still. But yeah, the Buffalo Bills, they're a really good team right now. And you can never count them out of any game when you have Josh Allen as your quarterback. That was shown. As for the Jets, a loss last week, but things to be, excited about. Justin Fields looked really good. It seems like you have a running game. I don't know how much of that is attributed to the Steelers' poor run defense. We'll get into that. I am going to go with the Bills in this game, but I do think this game is going to be closer than maybe some would think. And I think it's just because if the Jets can do anything like they did last week and they can have a run game, they should be able to keep the Bills off the field for a good while. So I am going to go with the Bills, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is a closer game than, anticipated. Yeah, I'll stick with it. Moving on, we've got the Seattle Seahawks and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Seahawks, I don't know what to think of you guys. I really don't. I have no idea. It seems like, that coaching against the 49ers, to me, it seemed like you guys weren't really adapting to Sam Darnold's strengths. That's just what it seemed like to me anyways. As for the Steelers, a win. An offensive win, which does not happen often, especially in the past few years. So that, as a Steelers fan, was good to see to a degree. However, that kind of game on Sunday is not the kind of game the Steelers want to play throughout the season. So I would expect a lot more of the running game. I would expect a lot more of Jaylen Warren, just gritty Steelers football. That's what the Steelers want to do. I don't know how well the Seahawks can stop that. So we're going to go with the Steelers because I think after seeing that game last week, the Seahawks are going to be like, maybe we need to watch out for Aaron Rodgers a bit more and maybe not completely sell out for the run like the Jets were doing. The Jets, they were completely selling out for the run. And the Steelers ended up not being very productive. So I am going to go with the Steelers in this game. Moving on, we've got the Cleveland Browns versus the Baltimore Ravens. Oh, I was rooting so hard for Cleveland in that game. I really was, against Cincy. But I am, unfortunately, going to have to go with the Baltimore Ravens here in this game. They're a better team. Point blank, they're a better team just in general. Even though they do make stupid mistakes all the time, they constantly blow leads. You know who's also great at ruining games for themselves? The Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns do that on a weekly basis. That game on Sunday, that was just a normal Sunday for them. They do that all the time. So I am going to go with the Ravens here in this one. As I said, they're just a better team. They have better quarterback, offense, defense, you name it. Moving on. Denver Broncos versus the Indianapolis Colts. This is probably the toughest game for me to pick. I'm going to be honest. Because the Broncos, although I do think overall they are a better team than Indianapolis, they did not look good on Sunday. No matter how you sugarcoat it, they did not look good on Sunday. In Indianapolis, I don't know if they were really good because they're a really good team, or if they were really good because the Dolphins are so bad. Oh, man. You know what? Screw it. I'm going with the upset. The Colts are getting the win. Indiana Jones for the win. Do I believe in it? I don't know. The Colts are at home. I think that might help them here a little bit. I'm going to go with the Colts. Screw it. I'm expecting it to probably not pay out, but whatever. I got to keep things interesting here. Yeah, I'm going to stick with it. We're going with the Colts, 100%. They're going to win this game. Moving on. Carolina Panthers versus the Arizona Cardinals. Panthers. What was that? Dave Canales, I want to believe you're a good head coach. I really do. But what was that, man? What was that on Sunday? That was terrible. I have to pick the Cardinals. I have to pick the Cardinals. I can't pick the Panthers after what I saw. God, my nose. Why is it so itchy? But yes, I am going to go with the Cardinals here in this game. I don't trust the Panthers right now as much as I thought maybe I could entering the season because Bryce Young did not look good. But I do think the Panthers have a chance if they can establish a running game. But I am going to go with the Cardinals. Eagles versus Chiefs, probably the game of the week. Oh, man, the Eagles, they kept it close against Dallas. I wasn't overly surprised, but I kind of was at the same time. You know, divisional games, you never know how those are going to go. Eagles, I am going to go with the Eagles. I think that the loss of Xavier Worthy, obviously they still don't have Rashee Rice, the Chiefs. I don't know if it's going to be... I don't know if they're going to have enough offensive firepower to keep up with the Eagles. And on top of that, the Chiefs' defense looks really suspect right now. Now, again, it is only week 1. I do expect the Chiefs to, make the playoffs within that division and all that jazz. Right now, given what I've seen, I have to go with the Eagles in this game. But I would not be shocked in the slightest degree if Kansas City ended up winning this game. Next on the docket, we've got the Atlanta Falcons versus the Minnesota Vikings. This is another really, really interesting game because both young quarterbacks entering their second year didn't really play much, if at all, last year. Oh, man. I think I'm going to go with the Vikings just because this one is at home. J.J. McCarthy did show a lot of promise. And so did Michael Penix, to be clear. He also showed a lot of promise in the game against Tampa. But I am going to go with the Vikings just because it is being played at home. I think that stadium is going to be super loud. I just think it favors Minnesota here. So I am going to go with Minnesota. Do I feel super confident about it? No, but I was the guy that picked the Colts not too long ago. So, moving on to the final 2 games. Sunday Night Football, Buccaneers, Texans. This is interesting. Because, it's funny. We saw, the last time these two teams played, we saw Baker Mayfield and C.J. Stroud have an awesome game in Houston. That was a great game. This was C.J. Stroud's rookie year. For anyone that doesn't remember. And, man, I don't know, man. The Bucs, they showed a lot of promise on Sunday. They showed a lot of promise, but that game easily could have gone either way. The Texans, they don't inspire a ton of confidence in me right now. I really like that defense, though. I really do like the Texans' defense. I want to make that very clear. However, I don't trust the Texans' offensive line. And if you can't keep C.J. Stroud upright and you can't get the running game going, I'm going to have a hard time picking you against a Buccaneers front like this. So I am going to go with the Bucs in this one. But again, would not be shocked in the slightest if Houston ended up winning this game. Now the final game of the week, the Chargers versus the Raiders. This one is in Las Vegas, but I have to go with the Chargers. Man, the Chargers, and specifically Justin Herbert, looked really good against the Chiefs. And I genuinely think the Chargers have a really good chance to do something special this season. Maybe not win a Super Bowl, let's not go crazy now, but I really do think the Chargers have a lot of potential. So I am going to go with the Chargers here in this game. I think they're going to have a good chance getting the running game going. The Raiders are going to experience a lot of growing pains this year. They have a lot of young players. So I am going to go with the Chargers, but we'll see what happens. I ended up going 12-4 last week, So pretty good. I'm pretty proud of that. Let's see if I can continue that this week.